There are K-drama moments that don't just trend for a day and disappear. They live forever. People who've never watched a single Korean drama in their entire life have still seen these clips. On Twitter, on TikTok, sent in group chats at 2 a.m. with nothing attached, but watch this. I'm not explaining, just watch. Today, we're counting down 10 of them. 10 moments that didn't just go viral. They broke something loose in the internet's collective brain, spread across cultures that had never touched a subtitle before, and turned casual viewers into obsessed fans overnight. Stick with me till the end, because number 1 on this list is the one that actually changed how the entire world watched Korean television. Let's start with a scene that, on paper, should never have worked. An alien who's been alive on Earth for 400 years, secretly in love with a woman he spent the entire show trying not to fall for, finally breaks his own rule and stops time itself just to save her. Say that sentence out loud and it sounds ridiculous. But the moment this aired, something happened that almost never happens with a single TV scene. It stopped an entire region's internet in its tracks, all at once. This landed right at the peak of the Hallyu wave sweeping through Asia, at a time when Korean content was just starting to break into mainstream conversation outside its usual audience. And this exact scene became the moment strangers across different platforms, different countries, different fandoms all agreed on the same thing. This was different. This wasn't just another drama. Fan edits of this single scene alone racked up view counts that outnumbered the entire viewership of other full shows airing that same year. People who had never watched a second of Korean television in their life found themselves Googling how to watch My Love from the Star the same night they saw this clip reposted with zero context. Just a caption saying, "Why is everyone crying over this?" And here's the detail most casual viewers actually miss on a first watch. The reason this scene hits as hard as it does isn't really the time freeze itself. It's the half second right before he does it, when you can see him deciding whether the rule he's about to break is one he'll ever be able to undo. If this list is already pulling something out of you, do me a favor right now and hit that subscribe button, because I promise you, from here on, it only gets heavier. Now this one proves you don't need candlelight, rain, or a slow motion run to make a scene unforgettable. Sometimes all you need is a gun range, 2 people who are terrible at hiding how they feel, and just enough tension to make every single word land twice as hard. A soldier and a doctor standing side by side, weapons raised, and somewhere between the gunshots, an actual confession slips out, delivered half as a joke, half completely serious, and both of them absolutely know which half is real. This scene spread the way it did because of exactly that ambiguity. Nobody watching could fully tell if it was a joke, and neither genuinely could the characters saying it. It became one of the most quoted, most reenacted scenes of that entire year. Recreated in fan videos, dropped into completely unrelated memes, used in Guess the K-drama games by people who'd never even seen the show. It's still brought up today in any conversation about the greatest K-drama confession scenes of all time, and for good reason. But what actually earns this scene its spot on this list isn't the joke itself. It's the few seconds of silence right after it lands when neither of them moves to take it back. This is the scene that turned a fantasy drama most casual viewers had barely heard of into an overnight must-watch. 2 characters, 2 completely different actors. And then, in a single scene, the show reveals that the soul inside one body has secretly been someone else this entire time. No warning, no slow build. Just a look, a single line of dialogue, and the entire internet doing a collective double take at the same time. What made this one explode wasn't just the twist itself. It was how quietly it was delivered. No dramatic score, no slow zoom, just a stillness that made you rewind and rewatch the scene 3 times just to make sure you understood what you just saw correctly. Clips of this reveal spread across fan communities that had nothing to do with each other. Fantasy drama fans, casual K-drama viewers, even people who just stumbled on it through an unrelated recommendation algorithm. And what made it stick in people's minds long after wasn't the reveal itself. It was the realization of everything from earlier episodes that suddenly, retroactively, made devastating sense. If you know Korean television at all, you know Sky Castle wasn't just a hit. It became a genuine national conversation, and this scene is the exact reason why. After weeks of a slow burn psychological thriller about parents pushing their children past every reasonable limit, the finale delivers a confession nobody saw coming, quiet, devastating, and completely reframing everything the audience thought they understood about who the real villain of the story actually was. This wasn't a loud, dramatic reveal. It was worse than that. It was calm, almost gentle, which somehow made it land even harder. Clips of this scene spread with captions like, "I need to lie down," and "This show ruined my week," because for a lot of viewers, that's genuinely what it did. It became one of the most discussed finales in recent K-drama history, still referenced today in conversations about shows that completely subverted audience expectations at the very last possible moment. And the detail that makes this scene truly unforgettable isn't the confession itself. It's the expression on the face of the person receiving it, caught somewhere between relief and complete devastation. Revenge dramas live or die by exactly one moment, the second the mask finally comes off. The glory built an entire global audience specifically waiting for the scene, and when it finally landed, it didn't just meet the hype, it completely obliterated it. Years of quiet suffering, careful, calculated, patient planning, and then the reveal, delivered with a stillness that felt far more dangerous than any scream ever could have. Clips of the scene spread internationally with captions calling it the most satisfying 5 minutes of television all year. And for once, that genuinely wasn't an exaggeration. It became one of the defining moments in the entire modern revenge drama genre, referenced constantly whenever people discuss the best villain gets what's coming scenes in K-drama history. But the actual detail that made this moment unforgettable isn't the reveal itself. It's what she does in the silence immediately after, in the exact moment everyone in the room expects her to finally break down, and she simply, chillingly, does not. Sometimes a character doesn't need a single line of dialogue to become iconic. They just need one entrance. This is exactly that scene. A centuries-old ghost, cursed to run a hotel for the dead, appears for the first time in full, glowing, otherworldly detail. And the internet genuinely could not handle it. This entrance alone spawned an entire wave of cosplay, fan art, and edit culture that's still active years later. It became one of the most most reposted single scenes to come out of a fantasy K-drama shared by people who had zero context for who this character even was, purely because the visual alone did all the work. What makes this scene endure isn't just the aesthetic, though. It's the single look on her face in the last 2 seconds, a flicker of something far sadder underneath all that glamour that told viewers this character was going to be a lot more than just a pretty entrance. Sometimes the most viral moment in an entire show isn't the loudest one, it's the quietest. This scene is just a grown man reading a bedtime story out loud, and somehow it became one of the most emotionally devastating 3 minutes in recent K-drama history. No explosions, no swelling score underneath, just words and a story about a princess nobody in her own world understood. Clips of this scene spread with people saying it made them cry without even knowing the full context behind it, which honestly tells you everything about how well it was written. It's the kind of moment that proves the internet doesn't always need spectacle to be moved. Sometimes it just needs something quiet and honest enough to actually hurt. This is the scene that turned Vincenzo from another crime drama into a full-blown cultural moment. The slow walk, the suit, the music building underneath every single step, The reveal that this isn't just a lawyer, this is a mafia consigliere, and he's about to burn everything around him straight to the ground. Clips of this exact scene circulated with captions like, "The moment K-drama got too powerful," and honestly, they weren't wrong. It became one of the most parodied entrances of that entire year, recreated by fans, referenced by completely unrelated creators, dropped into content that had nothing to do with the show just because everyone instantly recognized what it was. But the real reason this scene still gets clipped years later isn't the entrance itself. It's the calm, almost bored expression on his face while doing it. Like burning an empire to the ground is simply Tuesday for him. This is the scene that made an entire international audience realize Korean television could do horror better than most of the West's biggest budget productions combined. A king, presumed dead, reveals himself in the dead of night. And he's not just alive, he's something else entirely now. No jump scare, no cheap trick. Just a slow, creeping dread that built for an entire episode before this single moment paid it off completely. This scene alone is credited with pulling in a huge wave of viewers who had never touched a K-drama before, purely because horror fans on completely unrelated corners of the internet were sharing it as proof that this show deserved attention. It became one of the most cited converted me into a K-drama fan scenes of its year. And what makes it linger long after watching isn't the reveal itself, it's the sound design in the seconds leading up to it, engineered specifically to make your skin crawl before your eyes even confirm what you're seeing. And here it is, like the one that needs absolutely no introduction. Squid Game didn't just become a K-drama phenomenon, it became a genuine, undeniable global obsession, and this scene is the exact reason why. A giant doll turns her head, and within seconds, over 100 people are dead. No warning, no mercy. Just silence. And then complete, brutal chaos. This single scene spawned Halloween costumes worldwide, viral TikTok challenges, playground games recreated by kids who had absolutely no idea what they were actually copying. It made international news outlets that had never covered a Korean drama in their entire existence. It turned people who'd never touched a subtitle in their life into people fluent in 무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다 practically overnight. But here's what most people still don't talk about. The reason this scene hit as hard as it did wasn't really the violence itself. It was the silence right after. In the exact moment, the survivors realize exactly what they have just agreed to walk into. And that's 10 moments that didn't just live inside their shows. They broke out into the entire internet and never really left. If even one of these hit you the way it hit millions of other people around the world, you already know exactly why K-dramas keep doing this to us. If you enjoyed this one, subscribing genuinely helps this channel a lot right now. And it means you won't miss the next list because trust me, there's a lot more where this came from.